So the first question is, what is the effect of sin? And then specifically, what is the effect of sin in someone who has already been fully initiated in the church, right? Because the effect of sin is, well, ultimately death, but you're
Yeah.
baptized and so you're reborn, but you still experience some of those effects of sin despite being baptized and confirmed and having received the Eucharist, right?
Yeah.
And that seems to me to be the fundamental thing you need to understand in order to fully grasp why we confess our sins.
Mm.
So rather than say, what is confession, I say, what is the effect of sin?
Okay. That's a good way to ask it. We might first have to just define sin.
Sure.
Sin is that action, that behavior, that thought, word, or deed in which I engage that is contrary to God's will and to what is good for the human person, to what is good for humanity. Right. So it is anything that I do in thought, word, or deed that goes against what God desires for me and what is God's plan
Right.
for the human race. And so we look at the Ten Commandments, we get like some examples of sin. But anything that I do of my own volition, in my freedom, in my capacity as a free human being, I can misuse the gift of freedom and do things that are contrary to what is good. So that's what sin is. The effect of sin would be that there's a rupture. We often talk about those ruptures kind of coming in some primary areas. So first, sin breaks my relationship with God. It is disobedience to God, to my Creator. And so when I sin, I am doing something contrary to what God desires. So I am separating myself from relationship with God. So that's the first rupture. The next rupture might be it damages my relationship with others, with my community. And so it introduces a distance between us. It also creates a rupture within me because I am acting in a way that is contrary to my nature, to what is good. Remember in the beginning when God created man and woman, he saw that they were good. He created them good. Everything that God creates, he creates good. And so when I do something that is not good, I am creating a rupture in myself. So I'm separating me from myself, which is an awkward way of phrasing it, but that's really what happens. It's introducing this rupture. And then we might say there's a rupture with the world. So if you look at the first sin, actually look back at Adam and Eve. And you will see the very first thing that happens when they are disobedient. First, they recognize that they are naked, and so they hide themselves. So first there's this rupture with themselves because now Adam and Eve see something about themselves that they're now ashamed of. And so previously they were confident. They were able to be naked without shame. They were able to walk with God. But now because of that shame, there's something broken in them. On an individual level, Adam no longer looks at himself as himself. He sees that something is broken. And so then he hides. But it's not just that he hides himself, covering himself with fig leaves or something like that. Adam also is hiding himself from God. And so we see Adam and Eve hide from God. So the relationship with God is also what is ruptured now, because instead of drawing close to God, they're hiding. And when God finds them and speaks to them, what happens? Adam and Eve point to something else. They sort of blame other things. Eve says, the serpent gave this to me. Adam says, the woman who you put here with me, she gave me the fruit. So Adam does this twofold thing. He blames God, the woman you put here with me, and he blames Eve. So there's the rupture between the two of them, between Adam and Eve, because Eve is now blamed by her husband Adam for the sin. And God is blamed. Again, the rupture with God is highlighted. Eve blames the serpent. And so we start seeing the rupture with creation. Then we find out the consequence of sin. So the effect of sin, not just that rupture, but that, all right, by the sweat of your brow will you eat. You have to toil for things. You have to work. You have to labor. So there's going to now be this thing where instead of the garden producing, and Adam and Eve cultivating the garden in this sense of harmony and peace and just taking the fruit of what comes from the garden. Now they have to work. Now there's this rupture where it's no longer just going to provide for them. Now they're in a very different dynamic, a very different relationship with creation itself. So the effect of sin is to create all these ruptures, all these places where something has been broken in us.